All right, and we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your favorite wrestling fan here, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday night live on the GSMC Sports Network, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 o'clock Pacific Time, live. And throughout the week, I do upload a lot of wrestling content, so make sure you guys smash that Superman punch, that like and subscribe button to the show, and all your dreams will come true. We talk about all the action inside and outside the ring, backstage curtain calls, rumors, and drama, inactive statuses, injury updates. We talk about contract negotiations, extensions, and new signings. We talk about promotions from AEW to WWE to the NWA to, Deathlock Professional Wrestling, MLW, from makes major news in the world of professional wrestling. We talk about it here on this show. Sometimes we actually rummage in some of the history as well, like WCW, maybe some ECW. We talk about everything. If it's something cool to talk about, we talk about it here on this show 1010%. So without further ado, let's talk about some TNA Impact, also some Ring of Honor. But before we do that, just want to remind you guys to go ahead and hit up that comment section, whether if you got a burning question or hot take in terms of the world of professional wrestling, leave a comment. We will get back to you. Your voice is all we care about. Don't be shy. Drop your comments. Also, be sure to know that your voice is heard. We want to hear you guys. I'm dying to hear what you guys have to say. Plus, it's a great way to support the channel. Obviously, we definitely depend on your guys' support. We are super grateful for each and every one of you guys who joins us here and checks out our videos daily on the GSMC Sports Network. Your support makes all the difference. So to keep this party going, when we are live, you send in those super chats, send in those super stickers, because you guys are super awesome, and together we will make sure this is the best wrestling podcast in the whole entire world. So without further ado, let's talk about TNA Impact. TNA Impact. San Antonio, Texas? I think I could be wrong. Checking out my notes right here. Yeah, the Boeing Center in San Antonio, Texas. So right off the bat, we got the TNA World Championship match between Joe Hendry and Jake Something. I was super duper kind of high on Jake Something for about a month. No, maybe for about 3 weeks during the summer. I felt like he had so much momentum. But, Joe Hendry is the face of TNA right now. It's definitely the direction they want to go to. An international sensation he is. He's very, very gifted, very likable, around the world, social media. When he came to NXT, when he made his debut in the Royal Rumble, fans they went bonkers. Although he was kind of tossed out by Roman Reigns, I felt like a little prematurely. I felt like maybe he should have eliminated Roman Reigns. That would have been pretty cool, but that would have never, ever happened. But we can always dream. We believe, right? We believe. So it's kind of cool to see Joe Hendry, obviously, still TNA World Champion. I don't think his title reign's going to go away anytime soon. He's going to hold on to it for quite some time. Right now, I can't really think of anybody on the TNA roster who would not just beat him or would be a better replacement in terms of Joe Hendry. So, I feel like his title reign is just beginning. So, definitely can't wait to, see that. Santino Marella was backstage, icing his jaw. The Nemeths ran up to him, and Nick apologized to Santino, said that he had a lot of respect for the Nemeth family, which is why the decision to suspend Nick for 4 weeks was a hard one. Ryan tried to argue, but Nick told him to quit it. Ryan is God. He keeps pulling Nick into these situations, keeps pulling him into his problems. He's annoying. Definitely 1,010%. I agree that he's 1,010% annoying. So, a nice little brother feud, maybe that'd be pretty cool. Ash and Heather by Elegance defeat the King Bees. I always keep thinking that these girls are going to become the TNA Knockouts Tag Team Champions, but I do love Danny Luna and Jody Threat of Spitfire. Definitely one of my favorite women tag teams in all of wrestling. Ash and Heather by Elegance would be an interesting match for Jade Cargill, also Bianca Belair. You kind of have the powerhouses, and then you kind of have. I feel like this would be a great match. This would be amazing. I do. The King Bees, they're all right. You know what I mean? But you can't defeat the Elegance. You can't. These girls are literally one of the best. They're good heel characters. And I feel like ultimately. They do deserve another shot at the championship. I don't know if maybe they're, saving Ash for a one-on-one match with Masha to, maybe be the new TNA, Knockouts champion. Maybe not. But, I would love to see more from this tag team because these girls are truly amazing at what they do when they're inside the ring. They have an awesome tandem, awesome chemistry. They kick ass. So yeah, Mustafa Ali had a press conference. He renamed the Good Hands the Great Hands. He appointed Tasha Steelz as his press secretary. Ali proclaimed himself as the number one contender for the TNA World title. He asked everyone in attendance if they agree. There was silence. Tommy Dreamer walked in. He needs, definitely agree with that. Mustafa Ali going up against Joe Hendry. It's going to be great. It's going to be a great match. Mustafa Ali, I feel like ultimately is kind of like one of the faces of the X Division. But right now the X Division is being run by a heavyweight. So maybe a little bit of crisscross applesauce, kind of a little bit of a different flavor. Having somebody with the talents of Mustafa Ali, high flyer, can definitely get the job done. Within his arsenal, he's also a pretty technical damn wrestler as well. Don't really see him hit any submissions though. Maybe once in a while, but I feel like ultimately he does rely on on his speed, on his high flying abilities, and Joe Hendry is kind of like more of a technical, like kind of a brutish kind of wrestler, ground and pound power. So this is definitely an awesome 50-50 match where you kind of have two different competitors, different strong styles. And, it's going to collide. So, let's see if speed could beat strength. And let's see if power could overall defeat agility. So, it should be interesting. Frankie Kazarian wins by submissions, defeating Sami Callihan. Sami Callihan, too, man. He's kind of going... Well, I don't know. I don't want to say he's slumping because he does here and there get some victories. But, he's been... It's all right. Kazarian's pretty cool. You love him or you hate him. Kazarian will always be a part of TNA. And you got to respect that. I would love to see Frankie Kazarian go and challenge. Do what JDC did, challenge for the Heritage Cup. That would be pretty badass. That would be pretty damn badass. Gia Miller was backstage with Josh Alexander, who wrestles his last TNA match. Alexander said that he felt all sorts of emotions. He's annoyed that his last match has to be against someone he looked up to in his whole entire TNA run. Alexander, there's been rumors, there's been speculations that, Jordan Grace hinted at potentially him coming to the WWE, potentially maybe being in NXT. I would love to see him in NXT. WWE, not too much travel. I feel like Josh Alexander could definitely fit somewhere in NXT. But, it's up to him. He's been around the wrestling industry for quite some time. He's the longest reigning TNA World Champion. I believe that record still stands. But I know he wants to, even the odds, or he wants to square up his debt against Eric Young. And, Eric Young, too. He's paid his dues. in TNA. Definitely admire him. I remember watching it back when it was like in its heyday back in 2006, 2007. And he was kind of like this dorky guy, He was kind of like, now he was, he went to WWE and did Sanctity? I think it was Sanctity. I'm not too sure. Don't quote me on that. And then, then he comes to TNA back home and he kicks ass. So, definitely admire those two wrestlers. Would love to see Josh. I definitely think Josh is definitely one of the best technical wrestlers. Kind of reminds you of like a Kurt Angle, and he can get the job done inside the ring. As a heel, as a babyface, it's all gravy, baby, whatever he decides to do. Cora Jade still building up momentum. She wins. She defeats Xia Brookside. Cora Jade defeating Bayley Tuesday night and now defeating the Brookside on Thursday. Nice little momentum heading up toward Vengeance Day. It's cool to see Cora. I kind of hated when she came back. She kind of faltered to the side of the then WWE NXT World Women's Champion Roxanne Perez. I hated that. I feel like overall she is a top tier competitor within the women's division on NXT and obviously on TNA. I want to see a different direction for Cora Jade. I feel like if you give people the chance to like her, she'll be liked. But if you have her, like, she's a pretty good heel, too. I got to be honest. She is a pretty damn good heel. She fits it pretty well. I'm excited to see what they decide to do next. Ariana Grace tried to talk to Tessa Blanchard. Tessa obviously abusing her. Santino Marella walked by and told her to stop. Marella accuses Tessa of avoiding matches lately. She said she works by her own schedule. Blanchard laughed off Santino's threats and consequences, so he set up a match next week. So, Tessa, I'm not that high on Tessa. Definitely not too high on Tessa. So the Rascals, they're still doing their thing in TNA. They're sick of Tyson and Tyreek. Obviously, Wesley still kind of being a brute, and still kind of being a thorn in the side of his former running mates, Trey Miguel and Zachary Wentz. So it's always good to see Wesley on TNA. I feel like he belongs there. I feel like he would be such a great X Division champion. Definitely 1,010%. So yeah, I can't wait to see that. So we have a TNA Knockouts World Championship. Masha Slamovich, obviously by pinfall, and still champion Masha. Still doing what it takes. I don't know who's going to challenge her next, but there's obviously a little bit of a, there's a couple suitors lining up, so to speak. That being Cora Jade, that being Tessa, and I think that's it. Those are the two that I would like to see. We had Eric Young with the Northern Armory taking on Josh Alexander. Josh Alexander, obviously couldn't do it, couldn't get it done. Eric Young gets the victory. It was kind of cool, like Josh Alexander said, wrestling against somebody you looked up to this whole entire time. It was, it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. Impact went off the air, the Northern Armory waving goodbye to, Josh Alexander. So, honestly, I would love to see Josh Alexander in NXT, but he's been TNA for quite some time. He's been quiet in TNA. He's great. He's great, 1,010%. But obviously, if he had to walk out, fighting a fellow friend, fighting a fellow coworker that he respects so much, then kudos. Definitely 1,010%. I would love to see that. Eric Young still building up momentum. It'd be interesting to kind of find out when he gets a title shot. But it is what it is. It was great. I thought it was a good episode. I definitely thought it was a good episode. I can't wait to find out what happens next week. We have a concert by Joe Hendry, so that's always a good watch. All right, so now let's move on to some Ring of Honor talk. Brought to you by Chris Jericho, right? Chris Jericho had his didn't he have his wrestling thing or something like that? Sorry, I wrote down in my notes, but I can't find it. But yeah, so we had Jay Lethal. Jay Lethal gets back into the winning column, taking on defeating Mason Madden with Mansoor. I want to see those guys finally get some success, man. I feel like wherever Mansoor goes, he's been kind of not abused. I don't want to say that because that sounds a little like macabre, but I don't know. Maybe just a little bit. Harley Cameron defeats Billy Starks, which is a big win for Harley. Now she's on this huge run. She's on her roll. Will she become the new TBS champion at Grand Slam Australia? I would love to see it. I feel like we need a different taste. We need a different style in the women's division on AEW, and having Harley Cameron with her, with her concerts, with her puppetry or whatever, ventriloquism. I don't even know if I said that word correctly. I feel like it's something that AEW needs. The whole Mercedes Moné thing, don't mess with Mercedes Moné, money changes everything, all this yada yada yada. I feel like there needs to be something different. Mercedes Moné, badass girl, great wrestler, dominant. Mariah May, badass girl, dominant. She's very like more of a down, kind of a vibe, I guess you can say. But she's a great wrestler. Harley Cameron would definitely change AEW. I feel like they'd get they'd get more viewers. I feel like they would. I feel like there's a lot of people who are rooting for Harley, and if Mercedes Moné wants to drop the title to somebody, I feel like putting over Cameron in this position would be better than her retaining. I feel like if Mercedes Moné retains, I feel like it would do a little bit more harm than good, I guess you can say. Because then just this narrative of the moment she came to AEW, she's done nothing but make money. She's done nothing but being the spotlight, done nothing but win championships. And I don't know. I feel like this would be good for Mercedes as well. Sometimes I know she's undefeated. I know she's undefeated on Dynamite. I think in singles competition. Yeah, but I don't know. Billy Starks is a good competitor as well. I thought she was going to be the one to dethrone Athena for that Ring of Honor World Women's Championship. But, future. We still have the future. AEW International Champion Konosuke Takeshita defeats Tommy Billingsley in an eliminator match. The Outrunners defeated the Grizzled Young Veterans. Ricochet defeats Serpentico. Komander defeats Nick Wayne to retain the Ring of Honor World Championship. Nick Wayne, obviously part of the patriarchy. And I wonder when Christian Cage is going to, cash in that contract. I feel like it's going to be good. I feel like it's going to be pretty badass. And if he cashes it in on Cope, that would be even badass. They were a huge tag team. They come to AEW to, explore different sides of their wrestling capabilities. And, and it's all, I feel like it's all good. It's all great. All right, guys. So, hey, do not go anywhere. We're going to talk about WWE NXT Vengeance Day preview. So grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite ice cold beverage to join me here in about 25 seconds. So, hey, do not go anywhere.